beauties, welcome back to my channel. It's Fragrance Friday, so today I'll be sharing some of my favorite fragrances for spring. And it's so hard to choose a top 10 list. I know I said it was really difficult for spring makeup. The same is true for fragrances. There are old favorites, new discoveries, and just new fragrances being launched constantly. It's impossible to keep up. So for the sake of today's video, I almost did a shop my stash where I just picked out the top 10 fragrances that I know I'm going to be wearing nonstop for spring 2020. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. This is our pink, sparkly, positivity-filled quarantine bubble where we talk about luxury, beauty, fragrance, everything glam in between. So I hope you'll join our community by subscribing, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. So I'm going to present these in no particular order. I am going to begin with the fragrance that I'm wearing today. This is the travel version of Whispers of Truth. This is from House of Sillage, and it is one of the most beautiful, invigorating fragrances. So I think it is so perfect for the season. Spring to me represents rebirth, reawakening, sort of new beginnings. It's this fresh start. Right now, I think we all need that more than ever. So I'm really embracing that spirit. And this fragrance sort of captures that feeling. Oh, I just doused myself with this earlier, so I'm going to spare myself and not spray more. Ugh. Whispers of Truth has top notes of grapefruit, bergamot, and orange, so you have that zesty citrus right off the top. Heart notes of rose and jasmine. I'm a rose lover, so I am sold right there. And base notes of moss, musk, and caramel. It is very similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. Not the same. It doesn't quite have that same cotton candy sweetness. It's almost as if the fragrance, Baccarat Rouge 540, had a spring version. So something that's a little bit lighter. There's almost a fresh, crisp greenness about Whispers of Truth that I think lend to daytime, special occasions. Of course, special occasions. I mean, just look at this bottle. This is the travel spray. And I do have the full-size cupcake, but since this is the newest piece to be added to my collection, I wanted to show this. All of the Swarovski crystals, the white hand-polished French glass. I mean, this is such a gorgeous bottle. I think it is the second full week of quarantine, and I have yet to find time to paint my nails. It is so embarrassing. So don't mind my disgusting nails. The second fragrance is a new discovery, and I also discovered that this is an old fragrance. So it is the D&G L'Imperatrice No. 3. I hope I didn't completely butcher that. So beautiful. Right before Sephora had to close their doors on the very last day, in the final hour, I did a last-minute fragrance haul. I ran in, and I did have a little bit of time. I was the only shopper, of course, so I went to the fragrance wall, and I started smelling everything. I told the story in my last fragrance haul video, so I will spare you all of the details in case you watched. But this was the first fragrance I found that I smelled it, and I immediately had this, wow, what is this? Oh my gosh, it just sort of overtook me, and I think I probably said, ooh, in store. It was just so overpowering. It is a fruity floral. It's robust. It has this really pretty pink juice. I looked at the notes and I sort of laughed to myself because it has kiwi and watermelon, which sounds really yummy, but it doesn't sound like something that I would want to wear in a fragrance. I'm late to the party. What can I say? So in case you have also been living under a rock, I know I was, I highly suggest, when you can, take the opportunity to seek out this fragrance and try it for yourself. It is so lovely. It is spring in a bottle. So beautiful. This next fragrance joined my collection as a result of that same Sephora haul, and it also happens to be a fruity floral. It's the brand new Dolce & Gabbana Shine. When I was shopping in Sephora, I immediately spotted this fragrance, of course, because it is in a bright yellow bottle, and it was in a big display case, and I thought to myself, you know, okay, I'll try it. I really wasn't drawn to the bottle. I don't usually like things like this. It has top notes of mango and grapefruit, an airy jasmine accord, and blonde woods in the base. Okay, I'm just gonna spray a little. it is so smooth and there's this sensuality to it, but it's not super warm, it's not spicy, it is definitely fruity floral, so it's brighter. I mean, not just in color, but the fragrance is very light, and yet it is so feminine and sort of sexy. I love this fragrance so much. I have a lot going on in here right now, and I'll tell you, anytime I film a fragrance video, a few hours later, I might feel a little bit nauseous, or I just want to avoid fragrance. I never really get a bad headache. That's, I guess, the one good thing. But then days later, this entire room, this whole space still smells so nice. So I love filming fragrance videos and sort of spraying all over the place. Between these two, this is something that I think is so beautiful for every day. Whereas the Dolce & Gabbana Shine, I just feel like I will probably save this for weekends or special occasions, special events. If I'm going out with the girls, I may wear something like this. It's garden party, also could be bridal. If I were getting married this spring, I would maybe go with something a little bit more luxury, like the House of Sillage Whispers of Truth. Sticking with fruity florals, which is a great category for spring and summer. My next pick is Pacion from Giorgio Armani. Do you see how I put a little accent on there? I wasn't sure I was gonna do it, and then it just came right out of my mouth. I'm just gonna call it C. Simple, easy to say. It's C in the red bottle, which is a very unexpected choice for me, knowing my own personal preferences. And it's not something that I was really immediately drawn to whenever this first came out. I remember smelling it and thinking, no, that's too sweet. It's not for me. I don't like fragrances like that. And then sure enough, later on, I kind of picked it back up, and I don't think it was this little deluxe sample, because here I am pulling out the little minis for travel. It must have been before I got this, because I remember being so happy that I got this. I just started to develop this love for this fragrance, and now it's so beautiful. I love to take this with me or keep it in my purse. Anytime I put it on, I just can't stop smelling it. Another great thing I will say about this fragrance is it is very robust and it lasts. This is one of those fragrances that you can apply and then hours later, at least on me, I can still smell it coming through. Some of the notes include sparkling pear, rose, and woody vanilla. I love vanilla. I love wood, a woody vanilla, that's perfect. I love rose. The sparkling pear I'm not really familiar with. I definitely noticed the pear knowing that it's here, but it's not something that I think I probably could have picked out, and it's not something that I think I find in a lot of other fragrances. So there is that factor that yes, it is a fruity floral, but there's something that's unique about it that you can't quite put your finger on, and then somebody says sparkling pear and you're like, ah yes, that's what it is. It's sparkling pear. I actually just bought pears yesterday from the grocery store. I'm so hungry. I'm filming this right before lunch, so talking about fruit is really a struggle for me right now, but I do love this fragrance for evenings. That's something that sets this fragrance apart from all of the others that we've talked about so far. I think this one is so sexy. That woody vanilla base note really brings out a warm sensuality to this fragrance, so it is very sexy. And of course it's called Pacion and it's in the red bottle, so it does sort of give off that vibe like, yes, this is a very romantic fragrance, and it is. My next choice is a fresh floral, and this was launched at the beginning of winter, and at the time I thought, oh, this makes perfect sense. And now as I was going through my entire collection, I sort of thought, you know what? This fragrance cannot be reserved for winter. It's perfect for spring. And the more I sit here and think about it, I think it is sort of one of those unique fragrances that has no season. I can honestly see wearing this fragrance at all times, any time of the year, so it doesn't matter what climate, where you live. I know sometimes geography plays a big role in fragrance, not just your preferences, but here in Miami, it's so sunny outside, it is so hot. It's almost that oppressive heat already, it's crazy. So it's in the 80s. I'm not really in the mood to wear some of my heavier fragrances right now. Some of you guys may be up north where it's still pretty chilly. In fact, on the news, I see people in coats and I'm like, gosh, I feel sorry for them. So for you guys, if you live in a colder climate, it may not feel like spring just yet. So you may still be living in your kind of spicy, warm more sensual fragrances, or at least maybe you're just not ready for fruity floral. This fragrance has top notes of bergamot and carrot seed, a heart of jasmine, and benzoin. It's very light, even the eau de parfum. Here I have the shimmering body oil, which I sprayed on earlier. I love this body oil because I can layer it. You know, it's never overpowering. Even if I run out the door without spritzing on any fragrance, I can still put on a little body oil, something that's going to hydrate and kind of moisturize my skin. It looks really beautiful because it has a little bit of shimmer, but I don't never feel like, oh, it's too much, or I can only spray a little bit. No, I douse myself in this body oil and it's never strong. It's one of the benefits, I would say. But if you do like a heavier fragrance, or you want something with a little bit more projection, something that's going to last a very long time, you probably want to layer, even with the eau de parfum. Next I have here a powdery floral, but I don't think that description does it justice. I don't think it's overly powdery. In fact, I think it is one of the best, if not the very best floral fragrance of all time, and that is Chloe, the original eau de parfum. I also picked up a Chloe Nomad travel size. Because I have so many fragrances, it's very hard to justify purchasing more full-size bottles, at least until I get rid of some of them. If there is a travel option, I tend to pick that up instead, but I do believe that Chloe, the eau de parfum, is worth investing in a full-size bottle. I'm sure at some point I will own the full size. It is so classic, the most elegant, sophisticated, feminine floral fragrance. I guess it does smell a little bit older, and it has been around for a while, but I don't think this is a mature or more older fragrance. It has notes of peony, rose, honey, and cedarwood. When I smell this fragrance on another lady, I just immediately think, wow, she's wearing Chloe. She must be sophisticated. She's probably on her way somewhere very glamorous, very elegant. That is just the mood and the feeling behind this fragrance. Another one of my all-time favorite floral fragrances is Gardenia from Chanel. This is one of the exclusive fragrances, so you're not going to find this in most department stores. I believe Saks carries it. I know they carry them in store at our Saks. But usually you'll find these in beauty boutiques or online. If you ever have the privilege and opportunity to smell the Lay's exclusive fragrances, you must smell them all. Just take advantage and go down the line, one after the other. Here I have the Parfum concentration. It is also available in eau de parfum. So if you like a larger spray, it's a lot easier than having to dab. Although it does make me feel très elegant, très chic, it is kind of annoying, and I like to spray on my clothing and hair, and you can't really do that with these bottles, but it is still very beautiful. This is the fragrance that I wore on my wedding day, and it has such a beautiful story because Gabrielle Chanel, of course, loved the camellia. That was her emblem, but the camellia flower doesn't give off any fragrance. A gardenia, however, has a beautiful fragrance, and it looks very similar to a camellia. So they work together to create this fragrance. It is very creamy and floral. And this is the first fragrance that really turned me on to gardenia as a note in other fragrances and just as a smell in general. I realized how much I love gardenia because of Gardenia by Chanel. The last bit of this video is reserved for all of my fellow rose lovers, and spring is the perfect season to fully embrace rose. Although I know it is somewhat polarizing. I have heard for years from people that, oh, I don't like rose because it reminds me of my grandmother. Rose has sort of had a rebirth, and now there are a lot of very modern fragrances coming out with rose. One of those new fragrances is Miss Dior Rose and Roses, and I've heard from a lot of you guys saying that you picked up this fragrance. I love it as well. Unfortunately, it's the only fragrance that I don't have here to show, but it is beautiful. The entire Miss Dior franchise is classic, and I have so many of these little Miss Dior blooming bouquet bottles, so I want to use all of these up first, and then I will invest in one of the Miss Dior fragrances. So let me pull up some information about Rose and Roses. So this is a sparkling floral fragrance. It has grass rose, white musk, bergamot zest, geranium. It's like a breath of fresh air, as if you're just walking casually through a rose garden, and I think it's very perfect for daily wear. especially in the springtime. Another new rose fragrance that I love but is very different from the Dior is the Tom Ford Rose Prick. This has a lot more depth, it's a bit spicy. This is a warm floral, so it's still a rose fragrance per se, but it's unlike many other rose fragrances you've probably ever smelled in your life. Oh, it's so elegant. It has this wild bouquet of rose breeds, Rose de Mai, Turkish rose, Bulgarian rose, but then it also has Indonesian patchouli and Talu balsam. This is a very sophisticated rose fragrance. I think this would be a rose fragrance that I would keep for special occasions and evenings. And it is part of the private blend collection, so it's considered to be unisex, although I think this leans very feminine. If you've ever smelled Cafe Rose, do not judge this fragrance based on that. They are so different. They're like night and day. You know, I almost think, and again, I hate to directly compare fragrances. I don't think it's fair. It doesn't do them justice. But if I had to compare this with another fragrance that is familiar, that you might already be familiar with, it reminds me a little bit of Delina from Parfum de Marly. But it doesn't have the lychee. It's a little bit less sweet. I'd say this is slightly warmer. I pick up a lot of patchouli, so it's very heavy incense, warm, sensual, whereas Delina is a little bit softer, I think. I always say Delina is also a really great fragrance for brides, and I'm not sure Rose Prick would be right for the occasion. Maybe. Depends on the bride. Coming in at number 10, last but certainly not least, it's another rose fragrance. It's Chevaux d'Or. This is from House of Sillage, and it is so bright, floral, feminine, perfect for spring. I think this is a fragrance that sort of just embodies the season. It has a mood, and so you can really wear this daytime, nighttime, special occasion, anytime you really want to feel cheery and happy, because that's really what this fragrance makes me feel. I have to spray it. It is so nice. If there was a spectrum of rose fragrances, Tom Ford Rose Prick is on one end, and then Miss Dior Rose and Roses is on the other. Sort of fresh, daytime, walk through the garden, super sexy, sensual, warm, but rosy. This would be somewhere in the middle. So if you're not quite interested in either of those fragrances, this one might be that perfect combination that you're looking for. That completes today's video. I'm starving. I cannot wait to finish up so I can go eat lunch. But that completes everything. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, your questions down below, your recommendations. I love hearing from you guys. I must say, and I know I am biased, but I think you all have impeccable taste when it comes to fragrance, so send me your recommendations. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything I have today on my face, down in the description box for your convenience. For more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, wash your hands, stay safe, take care of yourself, and I will see you in my next one.